What's up, Leafs Nation? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips, and tonight we're going to be breaking down what was the monstrosity of game number 17 for the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Ottawa Senators here tonight. A 3-0 loss. Not just a 3-0 loss, but the second time this season that they've been shut out. You get shut out in the first game of the year against a rival, the Montreal Canadiens, losing 1-0. You get shut out against the Ottawa Senators here in game number 17, losing 3-0. It's a sloppy performance. It's an ugly performance. It's a quiet performance. You transform Scotiabank Arena back into a goddamn library in there. Just top to bottom, ugly game for this Leafs team here tonight. And the first time you shut out on home ice in 3 years, it is just disgusting what we just had to watch. I don't think that this is overreaction time in terms of big picture. Oh my God, there's huge problems, huge holes with this team or anything like that. But as far as we're going to go here with the After Dark and the fact that this is a game-by-game basis and reacting to what we just watched, there's no other way to put it other than that was just a gross game. That was gross to watch as a Leafs fan. There was no energy from the jump. 41 seconds into the game, you've got a stupid play by Nylander at the blue line, which is parlayed with Morgan Rielly holding his goddamn hand to cross into the zone. 3-on-2 back the other way. Drop pass, puck in the back of the net. Great. What a start. 41 seconds into the game, an arena that's traditionally quiet anyways, an arena that normally we have problems with, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Wednesdays, I don't give a fuck what day, you have problems, weekdays, firing that crowd up and saying, hey, let's go, let's get some energy in here, let's get some life behind us, and we'll give you something, you give us something, it's a little fair trade back and forth. You effectively shut them up. So as much nonsense as we could give the fans here tonight, because I will say not good from their perspective of being engaged, being loud, being into this one. Like, that just was not good enough. They also were not given anything to cheer for here tonight. Like, this does go both ways. 41 seconds in, you're down, and it was a stupid play kind of really there from two guys at the same time who you would expect better from, especially to open up a game. And then it's going down the other way. 3-on-2, pucks in the back of your net. You are down from not being alert from the jump, having a dumb play go awry, and then puck in the back of your net. What are they going to cheer about right then? I do think that they kind of have to balance it out and kind of go back and forth and give each other something. But in this one here tonight, I'm like, oh my God, Tuesday nights, we have problems here anyways. Why could you not have just given the fans something to start? And we kept talking about, you know what? You got this team that's starting on time now. It feels like things are different. AK bringing up there in the chat, they had no interest in playing tonight. Honestly, AK, it looked that way. Like, Mario Kart, refund the fans. Fair enough. This just all around was gross. And on top of that, like, you give nothing, and then the fans shut it down on you. I don't blame the fans. Like, look at what they just watched. But it's not like it was 5-6-0. Everyone in that building was just asleep tonight. Everyone in that building was asleep. And this is such a shitty situation, honestly, to come on here and discuss after the fact when it's like Friday night, dictated pace of play. Saturday night, dictated pace of play. Determined how you wanted the game to go. Determined the style of hockey that you wanted to be played. it just felt like, okay, we're onto something here. And then I talk about in the pregame, I was like, I don't care win or lose. It's like, it's the effort, right? It's the effort here tonight. How are you going to show up? Are you engaged? Are you ready to go from opening puck drop? Are you sharp? Are you bringing intensity? Are you going to finish checks? I know that I know, guys, I know. And you're going to say, oh, you don't have to tell us this. We know. I know you know. And I know you know that I know. But what are we doing here tonight? There was the simple plays, not committing to getting the puck out of your own zone or going to make a pinch on the puck inside the blue line and not getting the man or the puck. You got to get at least one of them. I don't care which one. Even take a penalty. Missing both. Like, This is another one of those burn the tape games, more than likely. But God, us as fans, we don't get that privilege. We have to live with that. And I think that's the difference. I think that's why we have a right to be frustrated in the postgame show. Right to be frustrated tomorrow morning when you wake up. I get it. I'm not gonna, I mean, I'll call it for what it is. I don't want to... There was text tonight from people that I listen to and look up to, and they're like, hey, don't need to panic after this game tonight. Agreed. 100% agreed. Don't need to panic. Like, there's no need to smash that button. We do have the right as fans, though, to be pissed off with the performance. That was an ugly game. Up and down the ice. I mean, everyone involved, and you guys in the chat, there is no one in here. No, I will say one thing that's kind of funny about the chat. One thing I love about it is that you get mixed opinions. There have been times where I come on and people are like, settle the fuck down. We don't need to be freaking out. It's all right. And then there's times where you come on and it's like, it's a good win. Talking about it. Everyone's fired up. And it's like, you're getting too excited. Relax. And it's like, okay, well, like we're back and forth. This one here tonight, I will say what I'm reading is pretty much top to bottom, from the start of the chat to where we're at right now, the same kind of sentiment from everybody. It's just a kind of sloppy performance here tonight from this Leafs team. And thankfully, you guys aren't just gonna have to listen to me break this down and rant for the next 45 minutes, hour about what we just saw on the ice. You guys get the privilege, and I saw you all fired up about him coming on here, of hearing from Carter Hutton as well. So if you got questions for him, send it in the chat. But I don't want to make you wait any longer. I don't want to make Huts wait any longer. Let's welcome him into the program here, Carter Hutton. Carter, how's it going tonight? How you feeling after that one? I can't believe you kept me up for this shit. Hey, you think that I wanted you to have to come on here for this one after this game?
I think we had a streak going too, where every time I've been on, it's been like a great game, and that was just an absolute dud. 40 seconds in, just changed the whole pace. But this is like, this is my takeaway on that play, right? Like, Nylander obviously makes a willy play and loses the puck at the blue line, which is like, my kid was still up at this time. I'm watching it with my 7-year-old who plays hockey.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's a good play defensively. And I was like, but son, the blue line is like, we have to own the blue. Like, I'm telling my 7-year-old, but this is live and die William Nylander, right? Like, we also love him because his like non-give a shit meter too, right? Like, where he does make these plays, he does do this stuff. But this is what you get when it goes south, man. Does it look bad?
That is the thing. That's the best way to put it. There is like, it's the up and down of William Nylander, because that play happens and it's like, it's not going to phase him. He's going to make it again the next time, and he's probably going to beat the guy, and he's going to walk in, and we're going to see it for the next 3 months on every single highlight reel known to man. But this one here tonight, 41 seconds into the game, Huts, goes back the other way, and it's in your net. Yeah. I mean, hey, you can tell your son also, it goes both ways, right? Good defensive play, but what the hell was Willie doing?
It does. And I try to see that side of it, but I agree. But this is like William Nylander in this, like, this is him though. But this is what we love though. Everyone loves his, his relaxed attitude and how he doesn't care and things just go, it's just water off a duck's back. But when it goes south and it is a shit play, man, does it look bad, right? When we talking about him, that bailout before in the playoffs when he didn't finish his check, we hated that. But then when he's playing well, it's going good. It's just, It's not winning hockey. It's not smart hockey. It's just like the time in the game, right? Like, it's early in the game. There's nothing there. Let's get to it. It's at home. Set the tone for the game. And like you said, I kind of came on early there and I heard you talking about the fans. Like, man, this is the NHL. Like, fuck, man, Florida had no fans and they won the Stanley Cup. Like,
Yeah.
if you win and you play the right way, the fans will be there. So, like, I feel like it's such a cop-out to be like, well, the fans didn't have energy. Like, there's nights where I played in the NHL where it's Tuesday, we're playing in Columbus, there's fucking not a soul in the rink, and you have to find a way to get up. So, I think you take it out of the fans' hand, and you can't expect your fans to be engaged when you start like that.
Yeah, and I hope that I said it properly or conveyed it properly, is like the team gave the fans nothing, right? Like, the fans can hear about it we can give it to them all they want. Now, a quiet building library in there tonight. No, that was just you gave them nothing from the jump. I mean, I do want to know from your opinion though, Huts, like, Friday night I thought was great because you kind of determined this is the way we're going to play. And you brought that to Detroit. And then you did it on Saturday night against Montreal. Greatest game? No. Greatest weekend? No. But you pretty much handled those games. Is this just a blip on the radar here against Ottawa tonight? I mean, kudos to them. I think they played a good game, but Leafs just said. Also, I want to use the right words here. I don't think that they decided not to play here tonight. Like, we've talked about that. Teams don't give up, but it was just like, hey, we're not in this one. Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, there's just nights where it's like, honestly, in an 82-game schedule, it's not like you quit by any means, but you just get like a team just takes you over. And I thought it was a very good point during the telecast, Mike Johnson just talking about the neutral zone. And it felt like there was that shift where McCabe got kind of slew-footed by Giroux in the third, and then he was kind of banged up. And then the next, 4 minutes, they just couldn't get the puck past the red line. Like, It was literally like the only chance they had was Nyes went in and he shot that one that kind of leaked through Allmark's 5-hole and the whistle went. But other than that, they just couldn't. And it was just like waves. Like, they were just on top of them. And it happens, right? Teams are playing connected. And when you're off a little bit in the NHL, you're off a ton. Because it is like, and Allmark after the game talked about that, like, it is a very humbling league. Like, I've been through it many times where I'd have, like, you win 2 or 3 in a row, you think you got this all figured out, and then you just get your ass handed to you. And it's one of those I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's something to panic over. What I don't like about the situation is you're on a homestand here. It's the setup. You didn't play. You're sitting at home waiting for this game. You're kind of put yourself in a good spot. And now you're going to back-to-back. Now you have to travel and go to Washington, which is going to be a tough game. So I feel like just like setting the tone for those 2 games, and they got a lot of hockey, that's where I think I'm a little bit disappointed. I think where if I was in that locker room, I'm sure nothing really gets said today because they have a quick turnaround. They're getting to the plane to get out of there. But I feel like, man, that is just a shit effort to start, especially a bunch of games here.
I couldn't agree more, honestly. The other thing I want to ask you, I saw people in the chat saying it right off the hop. We've talked about it with this Leafs team. Oh, they got goalied, they got goalied, they got goalied. It's something that started to drive me up the wall where I was like, all right, how many fucking times here can you just get goalied? Allmark played great game here tonight, 27 saves, gets a shutout. All credit in the world to him, not trying to take anything away from him. But like, even from a Leafs perspective and chances generated and stuff tonight, this isn't the matter of getting goalied here, is it?
Not at all. That might be one of the easiest shutouts Linus Allmark is going to get. Very consistent. It was like you honestly, I hate to say it because like a shutout is a shutout, right? It's very hard to get a shutout in the NHL.
Yeah.
At the same time, like they did a good job of like protecting him. It was predictable. I thought the save they highlighted at the end of the second, right? He made that toe save on Domi and tight. That was the one where it was a turnover redirected in front to Domi. That's a big time save, right? That's one where if they score there, it's late in the period, it's 3-1. Now they start pressing. It changes the whole momentum going into the third. But I think other than that, it was just an easy game. You just make your saves. It was predictable hockey. And I think that just starts with Ottawa just snuffing out everything Toronto tried to create. It was all perimeter traffic. Even on that power play, they had possession, I think, in the zone for almost a minute and a half. It ended with Nylander shooting it into Allmark on like a nothing angle, like a nothing play, and that like snuffed out all their minute and a half. So it was just all perimeter work, right? I felt like Ottawa did a very good job tonight, which is like every team in the NHL is good. They're going to have those nights where they take it away. But I think Stolarz played very, very well tonight. In the other end, arguably, you look at those goals, right? He gets beat clean, but we're like 3 of those goals. there was only three, but three of them, like they walk down to the ladies' tees and zip it. Like these are grade A chances, and guy picked their spot. I also think on the McCabe pinch is the one that hurt. Like that's one where you need a big save, but there's also that 2-on-1 threat. Maybe one of those times he makes a save, but even at that, I still think if you're not scoring goals, you're not winning games.
That was the only one that I was gonna kind of ask you there about from the goalie perspective. Is like the other two, first goal that scored, the Stutzle goal that scored is like I mean I come on here, I cannot tell people positionally what the hell the goalie should have done. The only thing I could do is basically give you why was he there or how did he miss that one? But those ones was like, hey, dude, what is he supposed to do? I just wanted to get your kind of, if you had like a more in-depth breakdown of what goes wrong on that Amadio goal, because that was kind of the only thing going through my head was the threat of the cross ice, the 2-on-1. And I think also, in my opinion, I think OEL played that one poorly, like a guy who's played so well to start this year, but more from the perspective of he was not full committed to going to Amadio right away, and he was not full committed to sticking with the guy. He played half, or in between, excuse me, which I think is fine, but then he was like, I'm going to Amadio, and he was just like not going. He was like going, but not. How much does that screw the goaltender up there? And I mean, was there more to it, or is that kind of the main reason that causes that?
Look, like I feel like OEL has got to do a better job there of like separating the pass, right? Because I feel like that pass was an option the whole time. So I think for Stolarz, that's a bit in his mind. But when you watch that shot, he's just really not on angle very well. Like he's more on body than he is on stick, which gives him a better chance to just beat him clean. So we talk about a lot with like percentages, right? Where when a guy's coming in on a shot on like a 2-on-1 potential, I'm going to give myself, say, 70% on the shooter, maybe 30 to that backdoor pass, just to give myself a chance. And then, but those percentages are always kind of changing as you calculate, like as he becomes a shooting threat, I have to be more engaged in making sure I stop that one as the pass becomes a bit eliminated. But I feel on that one is one for Stolarz where he just needs to make a save, a timely save. Yes, the pinch sucked. Yes, the situation sucked. But as goalies, we can't control that, right? We can only control what comes at us, right? Everything else, whether your team plays, we have a night like Allmark where he was on vacation, or you have a night like Stolarz where you're busy or early. You can't control that headed into a game, right? You can control what comes at you. And for me, I think that's one where he needs to be more committed. I think he just got off his angle a little bit. And it's one that comes up to bite you because maybe keeping it at 2-0, maybe there's more of a hunt there in the third where, I thought at 3, it honestly felt like that game was out of reach as soon as it got to 3-0. Like it almost felt like it was over. We could have let's just roll the script here because we're done.
The pace of play at that point just felt like this was not going to happen. It felt broken up, sloppy. I texted you during the game, and I think you just summed it up perfectly. Just 2 words, pond hockey. Like, yep, that's what we're seeing right now. Hutz, we've got a super chat here. Tammy asking, are we going to wait until game 82 for Berube to hold players accountable when games turn out like this one? I'm curious what more you would be looking for in a game like this. No Matthews, no Pacioretty. You've got guys filling in, kind of patchwork to make sure you've got a full lineup. Like, what do you do to hold people accountable here? Is this something you do in game? Is it next day? Like, what's the solution?
I think there's got to be a little bit of pressure on some of these guys that are like not going to stay in the lineup, right? Like you have to talk about depth coming back and players coming in. Like I know Yarncroc had a setback, but I don't know where he's at. You talk about some of these bodies moving in because like there needs to be some sort of fear in there too, right? I think for years we've watched a team that has just been so comfy and so happy where they're at, rolling through the regular season, and they get into the playoffs where I feel like there needs to be a little bit of like that uncomfortableness with this Leafs team to get them prepared for playoffs and for war. So I don't know what exactly the moment is. Like, I don't think Craig Berube takes lightly to much. Like he was an assistant coach when I played for him in St. Louis. And this is a guy that has a demeanor and he's an intimidating guy. That's for sure. Especially because everyone knows the way that he played the game and the way he carries himself. So I think for these Toronto Maple Leafs, they need to find a way to like find that grind earlier, or to recognize a situation in the game where, okay, we don't have it tonight necessarily. Who is going to be that third or fourth line guys that are going to grind it out, going to find a way to get in a fight or generate some offense? Not that I know Reeves can just go looking for it in certain situations, right? It's harder to get than you think, especially like a team like Ottawa, who's really going to fight them in the sense of they're up 3-0. They don't want to create any momentum on the other side. But go out and create some offense and generate an icing call, draw a penalty, throw some bodies, find a way to drag your team into it. And then you get the stars like Marner and Nylander to get into it because you're creating offensive zone faceoffs, because you're drawing penalties. And I think that's where this team needs to get to that next level, where it's almost like at times I feel like we sit back and we're just like, well, Marner's going to do it, or Matthews is going to do it, or Nylander. And then all of a sudden it's like, but you need that complete lineup. Every year it's the same thing. We look at teams that win. It's that depth role, guys that can create offense. And I think right now that they don't really have that identity down the lineup, where I think once you start to establish that, I think where Chief is really going to get the most out of all these players.
There is a question here. I'm going to start with this because I have thoughts on it as well, and I'm sure you can add on. But our man in the chat has said, Zach, bring up Domi about 20 times since the show has started. I think it kind of goes to your point where you're talking about the depth and other guys saying, hey, that guy will do it, that guy will do it. But not for a lack of trying, in my opinion, on Domi. That's a guy who will never cheat you of effort, in my opinion. But that being said, points has not been there. Production has not been there. What's going wrong for a guy like that right now? Is he just trying too hard? Is it just unlucky? Like, why is he getting these results or not getting these results as of right now?
I think he's just at times too cute. Like, honestly, at times it gets frustrating, infuriating watching him, where like you watch Mitch Marner and he always like looks up shots to make extra plays, where I feel like Domi does that a lot, where I think he needs to be just more of a finisher in a sense of that. Yes, he is a playmaker and he wants to pass the puck, but at times just simplify your game, where like when I watch a Matthew Nyes, I think Domi could be more like that, like just net wise, going to the net, going to those tough areas, because he does play a great game and he is consistent. He does bring it all the time. But just that extra production where, like, I think if we look at the lineup and we look at the Leafs record at this point, if we had some extra production down that lineup, these would translate into 2 or 3 more wins, in my opinion. And I think that's where they're missing, is just that subtle little, like, making it harder on guys. And tonight's a great example. I feel like I watched late in that game where even they're trying to break the shutout, it's just like Allmark's seeing everything. There's no danger. There's no, like, traffic. There's no, like, secondary chances, like, outside of a few, but that's like, this is the NHL. It's supposed to be hard every night, where I felt like tonight was one of those nights where they checked out early and they took the night off for sure.
Last thing for you here, Huts, before I let you go tonight. I know you had to stay up to watch this masterclass of a game. Well, I appreciate that. The one thing that kind of got glossed over was, hey, the power play's rocking. Wonderful. Goals are on the board. We get over this massive hump at the beginning of the season where it's like nothing's going in for you. The last 3 games, it kind of snuck by that they weren't generating overly much on 5-on-5. I think that there's just ebbs and flows in it naturally. That's how the season goes. But again, here tonight, you don't have that. Their 5-on-5 isn't generating. The power play doesn't get you on the board. What's going on with the 5-on-5? Is it just a matter of guys bouncing around too much? You're getting a lot of changes, and just maybe on a night like this, it doesn't click. Like, why are they having so much trouble 5-on-5 for basically the last 5 games here generating at even strength?
I think Matthews being out of the lineup hurts too, right? Like, I feel like early on there is that little bit of a bump, right? Where they come out, they talk about that Matthews record. I don't know what it is off my hand, but the record with Matthews out of the lineup is very good. So there is that like distribution of like minutes and responsibility that goes throughout a lineup. And I've been through this so many times where it only has a shelf life for so long, because like no matter how good you play without your best player, at some point it bites you in the ass. And I think that's where it really starts to go without Matthews in the lineup, because I don't care if you won and you look good in those games, losing one of the best players in the world is going to hurt you. And I think that's where we see it a little bit. At times it helps you because you simplify, right? Because it's like normally Matthews is the guy, you know, he's going to carry the mail. He's going to do all these things, where now it's like, hey, how can we do this? How can we create? Where I think what they're missing now is just being healthy and being able to roll lines, especially where you get better matchups, right? Where Matthews is always going to take on the toughest matchup, right? He's going to always draw out their best checker, where maybe that's going to loosen up a role for someone else. And those are the battles inside the game that I think when you're missing your best player, it becomes easier for teams to match your lineup. And I think that's why you see a little bit of 5-on-5 play dip here as they go. And I also think there is those ebbs and flows of the season, right? Like we talk about it all the time. The NHL is such a like the parity in this league is crazy, right? Outside of literally the Winnipeg Jets right now, I know they said that on the panel tonight, but it's a great point. Like nobody wins at that pace. It's just like everyone's due to late games. And I don't think it's time to hit a panic button, but I also think there's that identity crisis that we've struggled with before with this team. You see this, and right away it's like we have PTSD from like years past of like laying eggs and becoming this shit soft team when it matters in a big, like a Battle of Ontario, right? That's a big game. This is a big game, start of a big, back to back in a lot of games, and obviously it was a piss poor effort tonight.
So would you say that it might be fair to call this game a dumpster fire?
I think so. I think I think we could roll. You could roll that maybe. You could add that to the tagline. But I don't think it's worrisome. I think there's still a lot of good things. Stolar's played very well again, like another solid night. I think statistically, maybe an extra save here or there. But other than that, I think tomorrow is the test for me, right? Like back to back. Can you step up now after you took a tough loss, and what team responds here?
That's kind of how I felt about the weekend, honestly. Was like, hey, you know what? It's not like the one game where this is going to determine things ultimately for how I feel about the group as a whole. It's the collective. Okay, yeah, you lost this one. And truthfully, you fucking stunk here tonight. I mean, it is what it is. You did. And how are you going to respond? That's what matters more, because the team in years past, whether fair or not, I think that they've kind of cowered a little bit. They've just kind of gone into a shell, and maybe in tomorrow night they don't show up and everyone's then panic sets in. Then tomorrow night on the post-game show, Rosie comes back on here and we get another 100,000 view clip because his head explodes. But like right now, not really panicked. That being said, tonight was a shitty game.
Yeah, but I bet you the boys went out Saturday night. Right, this is the Hall of Fame game. The boys went out Saturday night. They came out tonight, probably a little hung on Sunday, Monday, laid an egg tonight. Now you back Wednesday. This is where the men come out tomorrow, so see what happens.
All right, Huts, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, as always. Make sure to follow him over on Twitter. You can find that in the description of this video here. We appreciate you hopping by. We look forward to seeing you again soon, and you gave the chat, I think, what they were looking for here tonight. You called it what it was, but there's no need to panic, which is also kind of the mindset I had coming into this one. So I feel pretty justified in that as well, Huts. I appreciate you doing this here with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, as always, my man.
There you go. That is Carter Hutton hopping on here to help us break this one down here tonight. As always, we appreciate him doing so. Thank you, Huts, as always. If anyone else in the chat wants to call in, you're more than welcome to. I think that we fixed audio stuff there. I noticed it was being quiet at the beginning, so I think we got it fixed. Then I was hearing a little bit of static myself. I was trying to get that sorted out for us there too. So hopefully, I saw Tammy put that in the super chat. I mean, Tammy, I'm not going to read that out loud for Huts there, but yes, I did see that. I was trying to make sure I got that fixed for you guys. I appreciate it. I saw some people tweeting at me, our guy Schuler, as well on Twitter. Like a bunch of people actually started tweeting at me at this one because they seem to like the last segment we did so much about the what the F is that question. And then I was being requested to do the what the F was that game. And I think that is fair. Denver, Zach always has to criticize that team, even though that game wasn't that bad. Denver, I'm sorry, brother. I don't know what you're talking about, what game you watched, because that game that I just witnessed was awful. Awful from start to finish. That was 60 minutes of ass from this Leafs team here tonight. It felt like there was really no pushback. They weren't able to score. Defense was pretty easy. The Sens were able to beat them in transition. I genuinely, Denver, I appreciate the support on the channel and showing up here every time, but that was not it. That game stunk. The game was terrible. Alex, why does nobody look into Tree Living track record or Berube analytics? Alex, I don't really know how to answer that question. I'll be honest. True living track record. I mean, the teams he built, I think, were pretty good in Calgary. I think that they kind of got the short end of the straw there with what ends up happening with Tkachuk said he wants to leave. Goudreau wanted to leave at that point as well. Like, you kind of have to just deal. Like, you got to play with the hands that you're dealt. Like, that's what you had. That's how you have to figure this out. You make trades to get out of situations when you're pressed into a corner. I mean, I think that the track record is fine. Brube Analytics, I'm not entirely sure what we want to look into on that one. Stuff and Such, Zach, remember when I mentioned the Sens were an upcoming team? Told you. Stuff and Such, the Sens have been an upcoming team for 8 years, brother. 8 years. Every year. Stanley Cup offseason, they won the offseason. Stanley Cup future, this is the year, get to the playoffs. 6 years ago, rebuild was over. Still pushing, basically the same team. That's kind of the position that I see these guys still in as of right now. So, like, you shouldn't have lost this one. They played the way that you did, excuse me. The Sens played a good game. If the Leafs played average here tonight, they probably are in this one. They played terrible. You lost 3-0 in a game that you played terrible. The first goal was scored 41 seconds in. If you played average, this is probably like an overtime game. I mean, it is like that's what happened tonight. I kudos to the Sens for showing up. They always do against the Leafs, whether it's here in Toronto, whether it's in Ottawa. It doesn't matter. If they showed up here a smidgen, this is a different game. It just is. I agree with Hutz. I think Stolarz played really well. The Sens played a good game. The Leafs did not play. They barely showed up here tonight, realistically. The goalie did. It's kind of it. I mean, I just don't. The other thing, too, like, I see people in the chat talking about it. I'm not just going to go back and forth with Denver all night, and we'll answer other questions that get sent, and we'll address other stuff that happens here tonight as well. But, I mean, the sentiment that, they got shots on goal. Ooh. Whoop-de-doo. The Sens got 41 shots on Stolarz. The guy had to make 38 saves tonight. 38 saves. Okay? So there's that side of things. And then, I mean, you want to know how dangerous these chances were and how many goals the Leafs actually should have had on the chances that were created tonight? 2.1. Their expected goals tonight were 2.1. Again, deserve to win a meter, 57% in favor of the Sens. You just played a mostly perimeter game. That goes to my point. This just goes to my point of if you showed up, if you played average, you win this game. Or at least go to overtime or something. But you don't deal with what you did. Like, to end up with the deserve to win a meter, the expected goals, the advanced analytics, whatever. Like, as much as you can admit to them and say they're real, you can deny them and hate them, or you could do what I do and you use them and take them with also having to back things up for what you see on the ice. I think that's the most appropriate and best way to do so, because these are not the be-all and end-all, but these are very good assisting tools to explain to you what happened in a game. This Leafs team was very perimeter tonight. They did not generate too many chances. Too many high danger chances, let's say that. You allowed the Sens to basically do whatever they wanted. It didn't really feel like there was ever a spark or like anything that got generated within the Leafs team to get a shift, 2, 3, 4 shifts strung together. And then if you've got no life, you're not giving the audience, the fans in attendance, anything to get excited about. They're not giving you any energy back because they're almost kind of giving you the finger and saying, what the fuck do you expect from us if that's the way that you're going to play right now? Which, honestly, fair. That's garbage game. That was so terribly played. There was no energy, no nothing. You started out slow. You're playing the Sens. Like, you can say all you want about the fans in attendance there, but they give a crap about beating Ottawa. They give a crap about that wanker who's got the season tickets and shows up wearing the other team's jersey every single game. Like, the other people in attendance don't want to watch you get your teeth kicked in by the Ottawa Senators. They just don't. So when that happens, you're going to check out a little bit. The people in attendance, and then they're not giving it back to the Leafs. They're booing them. It happens. You got to give the fans something. And again, to the point, if you just played average tonight, this is a different game. Average. That's the frustration with these games, this game. That's the frustration. Ryan Wheatley, like I said, the booing before the buzzer was the loudest the fans got all night. That's sad. I'm not gonna lie. That's sad. That sucks. Sucks. Let me address this. Last thing on the Denver stuff. This comment. Again, appreciate the participation. Appreciate anyone saying participating in this at all, ever, anytime. The people who come back always. Denver says, K, what's the excuse for this one? This is what Denver says. Back-to-back, man. They didn't want to gas themselves for tomorrow's game. Back-to-back game, man. Come on, man. They didn't want to gas themselves for tomorrow's game. Really? You play in the fucking NHL. You play in the best league in the entire world. You had Sunday and Monday off. Your job is to go out there and play and give everything you've got on a nightly basis. I understand looking a little sluggish on the second night of a back-to-back, sure. I can get that. I will never give the excuse of not showing up and not giving effort on the second night of a back-to-back. Let's put that clear. But to suggest that you didn't play to your standard on the first night of the back-to-back because you don't want to gas yourself for the next day is pathetic. What is this? The NBA? Who are you, Joel Embiid? Come on. You're making millions of dollars a year. Millions. You cannot ever tell me that they took the first night off to be rested for the second. Are you kidding me? Come on. That I've seen a lot of stuff in this chat, Denver. That might be the craziest excuse I have ever seen for losing a game. That honestly might get an award. I might screenshot that comment and put it on the wall. That was one of the craziest comments I have ever seen on this show. In my 4 years of doing post-game leave shows, that was impressive. You got me good. I will say that. I had never seen an excuse like that. They did not show up because they didn't want to be gassed for tomorrow. Spend games wall of shame, maybe. That was wild. Come on, Denver. You got to know that. Come on. It's impressive. Yeah, that's the what the F was that moment. Okay, let's keep going. There's other things that I want to get to. Other things that were brought up in the chat here tonight. One thing is, I kept seeing our man bring up Domi. Talk about Domi. I don't think that there's too much to worry about. Like, I think a lot of people are analyzing Domi and the role that he's been pushed into. He's not a first-line centerman. The fit with him and Nyes and Matthews long-term is just not ideal. It's not something you'd ever want, like, going into playoffs and in tough games or anything like that. I'm not worried about that. The conversation that should be had with Domi is the point production and where he's going to fit once the lines start to shake out. Matthews is going to come back. He's going to be the first line center. Let's just, like, people are analyzing Domi as though he's going to be the first line center going forward. It's just not. He's just not. So we don't need to panic about that. It's okay. There is concern about him, sure, but Max Domi is not going to play 17 minutes a night going forward. Likely he's going to be pushed into the second line left wing once Matthews comes back and Pacioretty is still out. So there's an adjustment there. He's no longer the centerman. He's no longer the first line guy eating up those minutes. He's not going to be, like, also think about that line. Think about that line. Marner, playmaker, not a primary shooter. Domi, playmaker, does not shoot the puck, really. I mean, one shot on goal here tonight. Marner, one shot on goal here tonight. Great. Like, what? The second line, McMahon, 6 shots on goal. Nylander, 5 shots on goal. Tavares, 3 shots on goal. Nice, 1 shot on goal. So between the first line, there was 3 total shots on goal. That's how many shots on goal John Tavares himself had tonight. Like, there is not a shooter on that line. So yeah, there's just going to be issues going forward. And I talked about it. We talked about it with Huts. Their team was struggling at 5-on-5 going into tonight's game. Didn't get anything done tonight on 5-on-5. Michael Kirkpatrick, Domi got his contract. Now it's cruise time. I don't think so. I think that he also came out of the gates flying. So, like, where was the conversation on that? And he had 6 points in the first 6 games, none since. Yes, that's bad. I'm not going to deny that. But, like, sometimes, guys, we got to just pump the brakes on some of this. You come in so hard on these situations where it's like, hey, maybe the guy's in a dry spell here. Maybe it's going to be fine when he's in a better role for him, when he's not having to go against the best defensive players on the other team. Maybe he fits in better on the third line and less minutes and a less exposed situation. Like, I have no problem with that because some guys are just signed to do certain things. Domi wasn't signed to be our first line center. If that was the goal, then yeah, fire Tree Living into the sun. But it wasn't. Austin Matthews is your first line center. And think about how good Domi was alongside Matthews when he was the playmaker and he had a shooter. Think about how he played when he had Nylander, who was the shooter, right? There's just, come on, like, think about these things. I'm sure a lot of you in the chat have played NHL video games before. And you go on there and you're doing be a GM or whatever, franchise mode, and you match up players with synergies to fit together because then it makes the line better and generate more because this guy who's a shooter plays better with this guy who's a playmaker and this guy who's physical. And then bang, that line matches all those things together and it actually works. Obviously, it's not just the exact same copy and paste from video games to real life. Like, I get that, guys, so don't worry about that. But some of those things are like, yeah, generic concepts that like are logical, right? I understand the frustration with Domi. Don't get me wrong. He's not shooting. He's making some bad plays right now. He's getting exposed for some of the stuff. This is a short-term solution. A guy who's making $13.5 million and scored 69 goals, has won the Hart Trophy, and the Rocket is not playing. Oh, by the way, that guy's your fucking captain. He's just not in the lineup. Like, let's not panic ourselves with the idea of Domi not being able to do this when you have Austin Matthews coming back. If he wasn't there, I would be here with you guys, yelling and screaming and pounding my fist saying, this is a joke. This is a disaster. I'm not worried. I agree. So, like, those of you who are getting mad at me for, oh, talk about this, you're avoiding it. I see the same thing you're seeing right now. My reason to not come on here and lose my shit is because this isn't the plan to happen for the rest of the year. It's just not, it's why would I lose my mind over something that 2 games from now will not be happening? Likely, hopefully. I mean, hopefully Austin's back, but you get where we're coming from on this? Ryan Wheely, hey Zach, who do you think has shown themselves to be the odd man out of the 4 potential players to lose a roster spot? Well, I mean, okay, so let's say Matthews and Pacioretty are back healthy. The way that the lines probably work in my mind, or the best way that these lines work, is going to be Nyes, Matthews, Marner. Trying to think through. Pacioretty, Tavares, Nylander, McMahon, Domi. Honestly, yeah, something with that. Maybe Dewar in there. And then the 4th line kind of as is, I guess. I think Holmberg and Robertson are your guys on outside looking in. Not impressive to me so far. Not generating offense. Not really anything to, like, stand up and applaud defensively. Not physical. There is just a lot to be desired with those guys. And if you're going to look at other players who can come in and basically do the same thing and maybe be cheaper or not demanding trades, then yeah, you probably roll with those guys ahead. Dewar in for Reeves, yeah. I mean, I don't really have an issue with that either, but alchemical fitness. The other thing would be, like, you also in this whole thing have Robertson who wants a trade. Right? So, like, is he looking out, like, on the outside looking in when it comes to that? Is he in the most favorable position for what the coach is thinking, for what True Living's thinking? Potentially not. There's those aspects to it all as well. But, yeah. It ain't Obeezy. Why are you wearing a Sharks t-shirt? It's actually a rundown Miami Dolphins t-shirt. It's just stripped of the logo that was on it. I think it got just absolutely dummied in the wash. Probably have to retire it after this one. To be honest. Stuff and such. An interesting question would be, how many Leaf players would clear waivers if placed there? 4 to 6, he says. I don't know. Like, I don't think Robertson clears. He probably gets picked up. I'll break it down of who's not clearing. Nyes, Matthews, Marner, no. McMahon, Tavares, Nylander, no. Third line, Domi, Pacioretty, throw him in there. No, they're not. Robertson, the thing is that you also have to consider that someone might just take a flyer on Robertson, so he might not clear. I don't know. 4 is probably extreme. Like, you're probably looking at like 2 to 3. So that's more the thought process there. Ryan Wheatley, Zach, do you listen to Chicklets? No, I listen to Leafs Morning Take, Daily Face-Off, soon to be The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, Oilers Nation, Canucks Army, Flames Nation. That's what I listen to. Come on. And Overdrive. Not gonna lie. I listen to Overdrive in Toronto. Come on. That's what you got. Those are the ones, though. Listen to those. Comatose, 3.7 mil for 0 goals. Sick deal. I didn't sign it, Comatose. Come on. What do you want from me? What do you want? All right. What else do we got here for tonight? Anything else? Oh, yeah, power play I wanted to talk about. Power play, let's not get too far into the power play itself. It pretty much, reverted to the garbage that it was previously. 0 for 4 here tonight. But let's get this goddamn drop pass the fuck out of the system of whatever the hell they're playing. The Marner drop pass with, I think it was like a minute left in the first period to send a minute and a half in the first period to send them offside is one of, if not the stupidest zone entry plays I've ever seen in my life. He skates basically to the fucking blue line and drops the pass back to center ice. The right winger on the far side was so far in, he almost tore his goddamn groin trying to stop and get back onside. Have we not learned that the drop pass in that specific instance, that way, is so useless? We've learned lessons. Well, then learn the fucking important ones. What are we doing? Those ones are like, why skate to the blue line? Like, that's the drop pass I have enough issue with. I get a lot of teams in the league do it, and if you execute it a certain way, it's fine. In my opinion, you got to have all guys going in motion. You got to have everyone going up ice together in a unit, or at least multiple people so that you're going in an attack, that it's going to go together and flow in, and then you can send guys deep, you can pull guys back to the line, you can put pucks in corners if you want to do a drop, like whatever. You drop, then you want to flip in to guys who are going in hard. I don't know, like there's ways around it. But to do 4 guys basically skate up and have to stand still now while the 5th guy goes through is so stupid. It's so easy to read. It's so predictable. And then you just easily step up. You pinch it off. You don't let them even get past the blue line. It's so easy. Dyslexic. Also, the other thing, good point. Other teams only do it once in a while. Perfect. Exactly. And it isn't obvious. It's coming usually. Exactly. The Leafs do it every single time. Every single zone entry. And it's like last game on Saturday night. Saturday. Yeah. What? No. Friday night. Detroit. Marner skates across the blue line. Makes a great play with the puck, just enters the zone with speed, possesses the puck, lets no one take, he's just strong on the puck, makes a great play with his stick, gets free, passes it across to Nylander, who then is also going in with speed. And it's hard for the defense to do anything. You don't need to set up every single time. They go into the zone hard. Marner gets across the line, makes the pass across to Nylander, also in the zone, by the way. This one tonight is like, you skated to the blue line. To the blue line. Like, I'm not... Watch the play again. I'm not exaggerating how far up the ice he got. He got to the blue line. And then made that drop pass again. Why? Like, you sent the guy so far offside. You're just kill momentum. You kill the speed of everyone. You cross into you can't cross into the zone. And then if you do get a guy crossing into the zone, he's the only one moving. Everyone else is now at a standstill. These are things that it's like, dude, I'm not on an NHL bench. I never will be on an NHL bench. Like, there's a reason I'm sitting here talking about the game and not coaching the game or anything. But the realistic thing is like, it's like, that's so stupid. And so simple. Why are we doing that? Everyone in the world knows what you're doing and that it's not going to work. And yet you're like, fucking run it back. Like, come on, dude. I think Nick put out like a tweet or something tonight. Like, Sens must have just studied the, like, oh, here's how the Leafs enter the zone. Over. That's it. Now you can't get into the zone. It's like, well, there goes 45 seconds of your power play trying to enter the zone. So we can lose our minds on the rest of the power play and the setup and everything. That's a different conversation. I'm sure Nick and Rosie will touch on it tomorrow as well. I had to get off my chest how infuriating the drop pass is, man. I can't do it. Like, what are we doing? Why? Why can you not learn not to do something else? It's just like, just skate with it, man. Just skate with it in next time. I don't know. That stuff drives me nuts when those happen. Nuts. I do see a quote here I want to get to from tonight's game that I want to just address. David Alter tweeted out 7 minutes ago, Nylander got ripped apart by Berube there. David Alter asked Nylander on the interaction with Berube. This is, I think, why Nylander gets the public brunt of it and is the guy who gets sent down on stuff. Here's the answer. Nylander on interaction with Berube. I mean, you just hear him talking. I don't know what he's doing back there or whatever, but I think it's great. You know, sometimes it's called for and the team needs a little bit of a wake-up call. That's great. You know what? Thank you, Willie. Honestly, thank you. We saw Pasta get ripped apart by Jim Montgomery on the bench. He's done it in the media. He's done it on the bench. Like, he's done it any way possible to try to get Pasta going. They interview Pasta. the soft, people out there who don't want hitting in hockey will come on and tell you, you can't do that. You can do that. Grow the fuck up. You're in the NHL. You're making millions of dollars. You can call people out. You can scream at guys. I don't get the whole bubble wrap bullshit. It just doesn't make sense. And if you're going to get cussed out by your coach, well, guess what? You're playing professional hockey. In any other job in the world, if you make horrendous mistakes, does your boss come over and hold your hand and give you a little kiss on the forehead and say, it's going to be all right. It's okay. No, they're probably going to get mad at you for making a mistake. You're probably going to hear about it. You're probably going to have consequences. You may potentially lose your job. Guess what? These guys have $1 million contracts guaranteed. So, in these instances, you're just going to get reamed. How do you respond to it? Nylander handles these extremely well. Yeah, I don't think he played good tonight. I think that was a stupid play at the blue line. But, at least acknowledging this after, numerous times here now. He had the one not a couple of games ago, like 2 weeks ago almost, I think it was. Lost the puck at the blue line. I think it was against Boston. Came out after. Terrible turnover. Cannot happen. Cannot have that. Owned it. Accountability. Berube was pissed at him. Accountability. Said, yep, that was bad. That was on me. Pasternak, Marchand, got called out by Jim Montgomery. Those guys, I need to be better. He's got a right to say that. Nylander just soaks this. Yes, that was bad. Needed to be better. You guys in the chat, I get that everyone can have differing opinions on it. I think that this is something you need to at least be impressed with if you're a Leafs fan watching this. Sometimes it's called for and the team needs a little bit of a wake-up call. That's great. I mean, you didn't wake up here tonight, but you're right. And I think that that's fair. I appreciate the honesty from Nylander and just saying yes. Needed a wake-up call. Last time, I fucked up. No issue with it. He handles these things well. That's kind of what I wanted to just get to. That's what I wanted to say. 6, Zach, thank God you're back. I'm here every postgame. 82 regular season games. Playoffs. Pre-games. And every now and then on Leafs Morning Take. HK, Chinese Canadian. This team's act like every interview. They say that they want to be better. They play the same losing ways all the time. Seems like an obvious loss. Yeah. What am I going to say? No, it didn't. Yeah, this was the most obvious loss of all time. This was like Sens -1.5, -2.5 written all over it. Unfortunately, I didn't do that. I bet something else. I wish I didn't, because it was pathetic, but I bet something else. Let's dig into what I bet, because our best bet segment is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation After Dark. You can open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. That's code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. When you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, tonight I was proven to be an idiot. It's not the first time. It will not be the last time. Tonight's best bet, a player that might just go on my banned list. If you guys know, you know. It's a guy that has frustrated me to the ends of this earth before. It's a guy that has frustrated Rosie to the ends of this earth before. And tonight, did not disappoint from that perspective. Mitch Marner, I bet on to get over 2.5 shots on goal. Mitch finished tonight with 1. Their line combined for barely over 2.5 shots on goal. 1 for Mitch, 1 for Nyes, 1 for Domi. Great. Mitch, over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 105. That's going to lose us $78.75 on that bet. Puts us down 1.3 units on the season again. Back down the other way. A 5-13 record on the year. We had just won the Tavares anytime against the Habs. Felt like we were in the right spot. Felt like we were going to get going. Felt like this team, they were different. I said it on the pregame. I said I might look like an idiot. Well, I did. And I do. I got to own it. Other guys might not take the accountability. I will. I stunk. Mitch, 1 shot on goal. I thought, this guy's shooting the puck. He's more involved. Domi, making plays, finding guys. Marner will benefit. The power play. He'll get chances. He'll get pucks through. Nope. Nope. Boy. What a loss on the best bet. That's on me. That's on me. Sorry, guys. Donnie, yeah, but you want to be here, Zach. That's why they signed you. Fair enough. All right, let's get to our last couple of things that we got for tonight. Before we wrap up, first of all, we hit 50 likes on the stream. Thank you for liking the stream. Thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Leafs Nation After Dark. I also want to point that out. The Leafs Nation After Dark. Wherever you get your podcasts, if you want to listen to this show on podcast form, maybe you catch it on video, maybe you catch it on live stream, you watch it after, whatever. But if you want to listen back to it after the fact, you can find it on all podcasting platforms. Dylan Thomas. Do we still get Gordon Graham from Japan up in these? Yes, Gord will come on here, but usually that's like Thursday games, I think, or Thursday games and Saturday games. Those are the ones, because I think he gets a break in there somewhere. So then he comes on because it's also the morning and he's a teacher. So make of that what you will. But 50 likes on the stream here tonight. Appreciate it. Let's hit the like button. Keep going. Let's get to 100. Thank you, guys. Smelling salts. Oh. Oh, my God. All right. Okay. Couple of things I actually want to answer here before I get to the final things. Oh my God, my eyes are watering. Okay, first. Stuff and such. Jeff O'Neill often mentions a B game when a game isn't working. Leafs didn't know how to get angry, nasty to get dirty goals, all just cute. I agree with that sentiment tonight. I think that that's a very accurate way to kind of assess what happened. Yeah, you weren't on it tonight. You know, I will say this, like I also, I'll answer this too in this as well, because I get this question a few times on here. People have asked Zach what level hockey did you play, whatever. Played AAA all the way until the end, and then said that's it. Ended up going to university. I played junior lacrosse after while I was in university. So, like, that was the competitiveness of what I was doing and the highest levels that I played. I was not a professional. I did not get to OHL or junior hockey. Played triple A through, and that was the extent of it. But I was a smaller player, skilled for sure, but not as skilled as other players. One thing that I always had with my game was being feisty and angry and getting in people's faces, finding ways to draw penalties, finishing every check. And a lot of that was because, I mean, my dad before even would hear from Jeff O'Neill would tell me, he's like, well, if you're not going to score goals or be in it from the skill game, what else are you going to bring? Some nights it's just not going to go your way. And I think that that's an important thing to note, which is like, how the hell does this happen with professional players? Where it's like, you get this far, not every night is the perfect night. Not every night are you absolutely zipping and creating offensive chances. Like, you're not puck on a string for 82 games a year. What else are you going to do? Like, are you going to find other or other ways to get involved in the game? That was one thing that pisses me off with these guys a lot. And obviously it was not the perfect player. I did not advance past that point, but like, I always thought that's so important to do. Okay, tonight I'm not the goal scorer. What else am I going to do? Well, I'm going to block shots. I'm going to block every shot. I'm going to win every single battle that I go into. I'm going to finish every check on the forecheck. How else do you impact the game? And so often it feels like this Leafs team just is like, oh, we can't be skilled tonight. We'll get to the next one. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? You can win the games other ways. Work your bag off. Put the puck in their corner. Hammer them. They didn't have a B game. So I think that's a good point, stuff and such. Like, that's a good thing to bring up here tonight. There was no B game. There was no, oh shit, we're not highlight reel rocking here tonight. Put your stick down, BRGR. I'm going to the net. Go to the net. Crash the net hard. Win battles. Like, some of those things are just so important, and then they're like, not tonight. Not happening. Debo still haven't figured it out. No, they haven't. The other thing that I wanted to address, Diz K. So, Zach, how many games into the season until we can have a serious conversation about whether these guys can play Brew Bay hockey with any consistency? That is actually a very good question, a valid question. The normal time for the evaluation, which is where I will let it get to, for myself at least, is typically American Thanksgiving. American Thanksgiving this year is at the end of November, no? American Thanksgiving, Thursday, November 28th. That's normally the barometer. So, fair question, Diz. I think you've got 16 more days, which would include, I mean, get it past the 28th, obviously, and go into the 30th that weekend. But you've got tomorrow night against Washington, Saturday, the Oilers. You don't play until the 20th against Vegas after Saturday. And then also rare non-Saturday game on the 23rd. But then you go 24, 27, 30th. You've got a stretch here of Washington, Edmonton, Vegas, Utah, Florida, and Tampa. There's some tough matchups in there. So, Diz, I think that it's a fair point, and people want me to lose my mind right now. And I think part of the reason is, like, I don't know if it's just a media thing to do. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, ooh, I'm a media guy. Like, no, I mean, I just kind of even got this opportunity to come on here and do Leafs Nation stuff within the last, 8 months it's been. But trying to acclimate myself to it, I feel like one of the more common things is like the evaluation period is American Thanksgiving. Unless you're god awful like the Canadians, then I'm pretty sure they can just wave the white flag right now because is anything really changing in the next 2 weeks? Are they really getting that much different? Probably not. This is probably who they are. But if we want to make like real decisions and kind of assumptions about what this team is and or could be, the 28th, I think, is probably a pretty good point to say, hey, that date, that weekend is a good breakdown of what we have, don't have, can't do at that point. Spen, I followed you from 3 channels. You better stay here. Thank you so much for following me from 3 channels. There's reasons for those, obviously. I'm not just doing it for fun. But thank you for following across. And as far as you better stay here, I hope I'm here for a long time. I will say that. Thank you, guys. But yeah, breakdown period, American Thanksgiving. Think that that's normal. Get to there and do that. All right, let's get to final stuff here. This should be fun. I'll see what you guys have to say in the chat, but let's go with our play of the game. Play of the game. Play of the game is OEL jumping. I mean, Stolar's probably had the play of the game. I'll be honest. I feel like at this point, it's just become so cloudy in my head of what did and didn't happen here tonight. I'm trying to think of like a Stolar save that I could give it to and be like, hey, that was the save that was unreal. I mean, I think he played really well tonight. He had to make a lot of saves. He had to make 38 tonight in even 927 save percentage. I just am like, this game, and then coming on here and doing this, it just got washed in. I'm like, what the fuck was the play of the game? I don't really know. OEL face wash, that's a good one, Spen. Final buzzer, Born Terra Farm. Yeah, it's good. AK Chief yelling at 88. I mean, you guys are the best in the chat. This is why we do this. This is probably all good ones. BRGR, I didn't get to watch the game, so that's my play of the game. There you go. Just another example of why you guys are the best. Great comments. But yeah, I don't know. Stolars as a whole, thought he played really well. Only one I want back is the Amadio goal. That's one I would be like, you did get beat clean. Maybe you won it, but that's it. OEL face wash, stuck up for the goalie, just slam Pinto, and that's the extent of it. Let's go to the final segment, and we'll wrap this up. Grades of the game. Simple. F. Like, there's no real... The only way you go up from F, I could even give it higher, is Stolars. Like... I guess your penalty kill, so maybe it's not a complete fail. Maybe it's actually a D-. Your penalty kill was 3 for 3. You won the face-off battle. That's a positive. You took less penalties than Ottawa. Is that even a good thing? Like, you should have shown some life here, maybe. You had 20 giveaways. The Sens had 11. You had 25 hits. Ottawa had 25 hits. I don't know. D- game. A+ comment. Play of the game. The 0.1 millimeter growth in the middle of Zach's muzzy. There you go. That's a good comment. I appreciate that. Like, that's funny. I like that. That's good. That's funny. Thank you. Yeah, Reeves not fighting. No bueno. I don't know. Like, there's not really many positives. D-. It's not a complete F because Stoller's 927 save percentage. Great night. Penalty kill 1 3 for 3. Those are positives. Berube ripping top players on the bench. Positive, I guess. That's it. That's all I got, really. Dizk, thank you. Filling in. We're working on it. Thank you. All right, let's wrap up the show with that. I appreciate you guys, as always, for watching, tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, turn on notifications so you get notified every single time. Every time we go live here, whether it's me and the After Dark show, if it's the boys tomorrow morning to recap this one, if it's me putting out a pregame video, if it's me tomorrow night on the postgame show. Let me double check and see if anybody's on here tomorrow with me. I think tomorrow is a solo show, so maybe we get some callers in here as well. I'm also going to see and poke around and see if the anybody over on the Leafs Nation that's writing wants to call in. We had our guy Shane Sini on last year, Alex Hobson. I want to get him on here at some point, so I want to hear from those people as well. They do an amazing job writing over at leafsnation.com. I've put some stuff up there as well. I don't know if I can write. I can talk. I don't know if I can write. AK Zach got the 2-in-1 stash. Also good comment. I do appreciate that. Thank you. But I know it's not a compliment. I'm just funny. I have written over at theleafsnation.com. I will continue to write over there, so make sure to check those out as well. My articles, please and thank you. Even if they stink, can you just say, like, wow, great article by Zach? And then the people are like, whoa, this guy can write. I can't, but maybe I can. I don't know. But check it out. I'll get them on here as well to break this down. Thank you so much. Appreciate you watching. Like the stream on the way out. Subscribe to the channel. Leafs Nation After Dark on all podcasting platforms as well. We'll be right back here tomorrow. This being Game 17 in the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season. Leafs, Sens, losing this one 3-0 here tonight, moving to 9-6-2 on the season. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back. Oh my God, great article. Thank you, Frank. Thanks. We'll be back tomorrow. Leafs Morning Take tomorrow morning at 11 first. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.